Hello, sixth graders. This is Skill Builder 10, and this week we are going to start looking at a day at Disneyland. This is the piece for all of the 6th through 12th grade string students that we're going to perform at the high school spring concert. And over the next several weeks in our Skill Builder, we'll be looking at small chunks of this and eventually be able to play the whole thing all the way through. Now, A Day at Disneyland is a piece that is written for high schoolers, and so it's even a little bit of a stretch for my 7th and 8th graders to play this. But for you guys who are second-year players, I would certainly never expect you to be able to play the actual music for A Day at Disneyland perfectly. And so what I have done is written a part just for you guys that is definitely more manageable for where you're at. It's where I would expect you to be at, and it's something that I know you all can be successful with. And so you all have the same part as one another. You're going to work as a team, as a 6th grade team, and all play the same thing. So this is different than in our other orchestra pieces where the violas and the violins have different parts. For A Day at Disneyland, everyone in the 6th grade orchestra is playing the same part. So as we look through this, this is going to apply to everybody. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching your Skill Builder. I'm here in my kitchen because we are going to play a game this week called What's in Miss Allen's Fridge? You all have until the next day 1, that means by 11:59 p.m. on day 6, to send me an email with a guess of 5 things that are in my refrigerator. Whoever guesses the most things correct will win a prize. So make sure you email me your guesses before the next day 1, and let's get back to the Skill Builder. Today we are going to go from the beginning, from measure 1, and we're going to get to measure, let's see, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, so we're going to get to measure 17. And you might have noticed how I did that counting. This is something I want you to be able to do. There are some big measure numbers as you look throughout your piece, but on the side, there are measure numbers for every measure all the way to the left of each line. So on the second line, it should say measure 11, and then you can count 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So that's something you'll need to be able to do as I'm talking about each measure. Okay? So let's jump right into this. The first thing we have, everything before measure 9, so the first 8 measures. This is an introduction. This is in 6/8, at least it starts in 6/8. Later we'll go back to 4/4, but this is why we've been practicing counting in 6/8. So you can see at the very beginning you have 3 eighth notes, and these are open Ds, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, just like we've practiced in our previous skill builders. Then you have a dotted quarter note, which is a 3-beat note, and in the next measure, a dotted half note, which is a 6-beat note in 6/8. And these are tied together. A tie means that you add the number of beats of those 2 notes and hold it for that length. So we have a 3-beat and a 6-beat note tied together, which means we hold it for a total of 9 beats. So when you play your first 2 measures, which are all open D by the way, it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I did run out of bow. First of all, I'm still using that half-size bow because we're out of full-size bows at school, but I also was playing it much slower than it will be. So you should not run out of bow when we do it faster, but we're just going slow for counting purposes. Let's do that one more time, the first 2 measures. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. The next measure, measure 3, it's just 6 eighth notes, open D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then in measures 4 and 5, we have 3 dotted quarter notes, 3-beat notes. Hopefully these notes are easy for you to read. Open D, A, which for everyone but bass is your open A. Bass, this is 1 on G. And then in measure 5, G, which is on the D string for everyone except bass, and bass, it's your open G. Bass is always kind of the odd one out there, which is okay. That's what makes you unique. So if I go from measure 4, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, rest, 5, 6. Okay? Let's play the first 5 measures together. We're still going slow. We'll do it faster in a minute. 1, 2, 3, ready, here we go. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. Then you have what looks like one measure, but it has a big, thick bar with the number 3 on top. This is what we call a multi-measure rest. A multi-measure rest means that you rest for more than one measure, but instead of them writing out 3 blank measures, they've written one measure with a 3 on top, which means you're resting for 3 measures. It's just a neater way of writing it, and it saves space and makes it visually easier for you. And you're going to see later you have some longer multi-measure rests, and it's easier to see the number than to have to count out how many measures you're actually resting for. So in this case, you rest for 3 measures of 6 beats. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're at measure 9. Okay? That was the introduction. Okay, and we'll come back and do this later faster, but that's everything for the introduction. Now this whole piece is actually, it's what we call a medley, which means it's lots of tunes put together into one big piece. So I have labeled in the big boxes with numbers, each of those are measure numbers of where a new tune starts, because when we practice, a lot of times we'll start at one of those numbers. But I have also put the name of the tune. So at measure 9, it's called the Mickey Mouse March, which you can look up on YouTube, or some of you may know already. I'm going to point out that at measure 9, there's the start of a repeat sign, which means when we get to a repeat sign later, we are going to be going back to measure 9, not to the beginning. As you look starting at measure 9, you'll see that basically all you have are dotted quarter notes. These are those 3-beat notes. So you'll be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this whole time. Measure 9, we have 2 Gs. You should all know how to play this note. As second-year players, I would expect you to know how to play that note pretty easily. Measure 10, you have 2 Es, 1 finger on the D string. Again, should be a very easy note for you. Measure 11, you have 2 As. Now, everyone should know this note because this was a note we played in first finger rock quite a bit. For bass, it's your open A string, but for everyone else, it's 1 finger on G. So measure 11 is 1 on G, and then measure 12, you have 1 note, and it's an open D. Let's play measures 9, 10, 11, and 12. 1, 2, 3, ready, here we go. 3, 4, now E. Here's that low A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hope that was relatively easy for you. I know that you all know those notes, so it shouldn't have been too hard to put it together with this 6/8 rhythm. Now let's look at the next part starting at measure 13 because we do have a new note coming up. At measure 13, you have a G, okay, the same G that was in measure 9, an open D, then the next measure you have an E, and the next note looks like an E, but it has a funky symbol next to it. This is what we call an E flat. So for all of you, you all play the note E the same way by putting your first finger down on the D string. To make this an E flat, flat means it's lower, so you're going to have to take your first finger and move it back up closer to the scroll or closer to the top of your instrument. So instead of it being in the spot where it normally would be, it goes back. And it's just for this one note. After this, your hand goes back to where it was. But that one E is an E flat. That's what we call an accidental. It doesn't mean it's an accident. It means it's a note that doesn't fit within the key signature, and so they have to put a symbol next to it to tell you to play it in that way. So either a flat or a sharp, or sometimes you'll see a natural sign, and we'll deal with those things later. But for now, that's how you play the note E flat. The following measure, you have 2 Ds, open Ds, and then in measure, 16, you have a G. So all familiar notes except for that E flat. Let's start at measure 11, 12, 13. Get those fingers down for G, unless you're a bass. 1, 2, 3, ready, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, here's E flat. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. Excellent. At this point, at the end of measure 16, you see there is a repeat sign. Now this is something called a first and second ending. We have not seen this before either. There's all sorts of new stuff coming at you in a day at Disneyland. First ending means the first time you play this, you will play the first ending, right? So that's what we just did. We started at measure 9 and we played through and played the first ending, which is measure 16. Now we are going to repeat back to measure 9. When we repeat back to measure 9, we'll play all the same music we just played, but when we get to measure 16, we are going to skip that. That was the first ending, and since we're playing it now for the second time, we skip the first ending and go to the second ending, which is measure 17. That's the measure with the box with a 2 over it. Okay, so we would go back to 9, play it again, skip the first ending, and go to the second ending. All right, and that's as far as we're going to get today, measure 17. I'm going to go back and play the whole thing, measure 1 through 17 with the repeat. I'm going to do it slowly, and then I'll do it a little bit faster, but not quite as fast as the goal tempo will be. We'll work on getting it faster later. But I'll go slow and then a little bit faster for those who are ready for more of a challenge. So here is from the beginning, measures 1 through 17 with the repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 2, 3. Ready? Here you go. Here's A. 4, 5, 6. E flat. Here's measure 9. 5, 6. Excellent. By the way, you might have noticed that the first and second endings for you are identical, and you might be wondering, why do we have a first and second ending? Well, for other parts, the high school and 7th and 8th graders, their first and second endings are different, and so we had to make sure that our notation was the same as theirs so that our measures lined up, and so that's why you have a first and second ending. Most of the time when you have that, they will be different notes, okay? Let me go back and play it a little bit faster. If you are up for the challenge, if you were able to do it at the tempo I just played it, try it again with what I'm going to do now. If you couldn't do it with the last tempo, this would be a good time to pause and work on it and then come back. Okay, so this is faster. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ready? And here we go. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 4, 5, 6. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 2, 3. Ready? Here we go. 6. Back to 9. 4, 5, 6. All right, that's measures 1 through 17 for a day at Disneyland. You guys have all the way from today until the next day 1, technically by 11:59 p.m. at the next day, on the next day 6, to learn this, and then we will start working on it together in class. We won't only just learn your part, but sometimes I'll have you play your part and I'll play the high school part so you can hear what they will sound like together. All right, so we're going to work really hard on this so that we can have an awesome time when we all play this together. I hope everyone has a great day. Work really hard on this, and I'll see you guys in class.